NIO has been in the spotlight recently because the stock has had a phenomenal 2020 so far, up nearly 400% from the beginning of the year. Now, as you may know, if you're a longtime subscriber of the channel, and if you're not, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button down below and the bell notification. I am a long-term holder of NIO stock. I bought the stock early last year, and I'm up well over 3 times on my position. NIO has far exceeded my expectations personally, and there has been some news around them this past week which makes them kind of a game-changing investment. Now, what I want to do in this video is discuss that briefly and kind of share my thoughts on these rumors that are kind of circulating around here, and let you guys know if I think this is actually something that changes NIO's fundamental thesis and if this stock is actually worth buying at these prices. Anyways, guys, consider hitting that like button down below for the YouTube AI. It helps out the channel tremendously, and I appreciate you guys for doing that. Okay, let's think about EVs for a second, right? You know, it doesn't matter which one, Tesla, NIO, Nissan, Toyota. EVs have one fundamental thing that really keeps people from purchasing them. No, I'm not talking about the initial cost, because yeah, that is a factor right now, but you know, you can get a Nissan or something like that for relatively cheap. The main thing that I'm talking about affects pretty much all EVs, doesn't matter what manufacturer it is, and that is the charging aspect of it. Let's face it, whether you like it or not, charging your EV is a lifestyle change. You can't go about how you did before with a gas-powered car where you have a gas station around every corner. You actually have to think ahead, plan ahead, and be consistent and diligent with your charging habits. If you're not, you're gonna suffer. And now Tesla recognized this early on, which is why they built out their supercharging network pretty much across the country. However, it still doesn't fully address the problem. First is because these supercharging networks are kind of all over the place. They're not necessarily in every corner like a gas station is. Second of all, it still does take time to charge up at a supercharger. It could take anywhere between 30 and 40 minutes, depending on the version of the supercharger and also depending on what battery level you're at when you start charging. For some people, this is a little too long and they can't really afford to spend 20-30 minutes at a charging station on a regular basis. So guess what? NIO comes out, they're in China, and they're like, let's take a different approach to this. NIO has gone the route of offering battery swaps, so when you need a recharge, you pull into a NIO service station and swap out your low charge battery with a fully charged one, and it's all done automatically for you. This tends to be quicker because you can theoretically go from a battery that has 1% charge to a battery that has 100% charge in much shorter time by just swapping them out versus charging it from 1% to 100%. To add to this, a few weeks ago I made a video covering the new battery as a service offering that NIO announced, and this will pretty much be offered as a subscription model, so it's a lot more affordable to customers and a lot more accessible to customers as well. Essentially what happens is you buy the car without a battery, subscribe to this battery as a service, and then you continuously swap out the battery when you need a charge. Okay, so this is pretty cool, a different approach here from NIO compared to what Tesla's done. However, there's still a big flaw because these battery swapping stations are expensive. They have to be built everywhere to make them feasible, and I don't really see that happening all over China or even the world. Sure, maybe in busy cities they have quite a few of these swapping stations to accommodate for demand. However, if you go more rural in the country, you know, typically where you would find a gas station every, say, 20-30 kilometers at most, it's unlikely you're gonna see one of these swapping stations every 20-30 kilometers at most, because that's gonna cost the company a lot of money and they're not gonna generate enough return on that in rural areas. So NIO recognized this. They're like, okay, for, you know, really populated cities, the battery swapping makes sense. However, if you're living outside the city, you kind of live in the countryside or something like that, then there needs to be another alternative, and that's what NIO is expected to announce. So there's an event called the Beijing International Automotive Exhibition 2020, which is the Auto China 2020 that's coming up. And maybe the time this video goes live, it's already started. And pretty much at this, NIO will announce the upgrade plan of its destination rapid charge service, which is going to help consumers get more excited and possibly purchase a NIO car. The show is set to begin September 26th and run through October 5th. So I'm sure we'll see a lot of exciting announcements during this time, not only around NIO, but from around other companies that are focused on EV or having EV arm as well. Now, like I said, there isn't a whole lot of details, and I will be covering that when it is announced. However, could it be possible that NIO is working on some sort of supercharging network like Tesla has? Maybe they do something similar to Tesla where they have these NIO charging stations all over the place, and maybe they have some great technology there that can actually charge it even quicker than Tesla can with their superchargers. If so, this could be massive for NIO, guys, because consumers are going to adopt it because, if NIO can say you can get a full charge in 10 to 15 minutes as opposed to 30 to 40 minutes with a Tesla supercharger, a lot of people are going to say, okay, I can afford to spend 10 minutes or so at a charging station at worst case. I think the idea of supercharging networks is extremely important. Now, I have a feeling long term that these gas stations all around the corner are gonna probably have EV charging stations built in there as well. So they'll probably offer both gas and EV charging in the next few years or so. That's kind of my prediction. However, it's unlikely that there'll be fast charging at these networks. So you're gonna have to really rely on something like a supercharging network to get people over the hump to purchase an EV. Like I said, there's still drawbacks to supercharging networks because it still takes time to get a full charge. However, technology is improving. Tesla also announced at Battery Day that they are working on better batteries, faster charging, more efficient, longer range, all that kind of stuff, and everything there is contributing to more excitement in the space and more likeliness that people are going to adopt EVs in the near future. Now, even me personally, I kind of do a road trip pretty often, which is around 500 kilometers one way, and with the supercharging network, I will have to make a stop on the way, most likely, unless I want to get to my destination with like 1% charge, which is not good for the battery health. But either way, in a gas-powered car, I still would have made a stop regardless, so it's not too bad for my situation. On top of that, I'm pretty diligent, so far at least in the last week and a half of ownership, of charging my car, and I hope to keep that up for the future of ownership of this car. However, I have noticed a whole different side to this where there's a lot of these other EV companies like ChargePoint, which I covered in a recent video, Flow, and a couple of other ones that offer charging stations around this area that I live in, and I'm able to charge there either for free or for a small cost. So that's kind of like a backup worst case scenario. But again, it all comes back to what I was saying before. Planning is still required. Now, I'm really excited to see what NIO will announce at this auto show here. I have a feeling it's something like a supercharging network. And if they're able to really build on what Tesla has done with the supercharging network, or maybe have a deal with Tesla for superchargers, that could be something interesting. It'll definitely make NIO stock much more appealing than it is today. The stock has been more or less in consolidation for the last month or so and seems to be waiting for some sort of catalyst to push it higher. And the stochastics you can see here at the bottom show us that the buyers have been scarce recently as the stock has reached oversold levels. That being said, NIO is at a $20 billion market cap today, and it is at a rich valuation in my opinion. However, if they show us that they're following in the footsteps of Tesla, or maybe even stepping ahead and leapfrogging Tesla with some technology, there could be a ton of upside here in this stock, especially in the next few weeks. But you have to realize that buying NIO at today's prices is pretty lofty, and you're paying a massive premium for a lot of hope. And that's kind of where I personally will not be buying NIO. Like I said, I have a position in the stock. I'm going to continue holding that position. But to buy right now, $20 billion market cap, it's a tough sell to me. Also keep in mind, if something that they announce at this auto show is not what investors are expecting, it's underwhelming, there's nothing really new and exciting, that's going to be a big bummer for the stock, and we could probably see a pretty significant decline in NIO stock over the next week or two. Either way you put it, I'm expecting a lot of volatility to pick up in the stock, so I'll be keeping a close eye on that. And any of you holding NIO stock should also be keeping a close eye on any announcement, because it will affect your position one way or the other. Who knows, maybe if NIO announces something groundbreaking, they have something that charges in 10 minutes like I said, that will definitely make me a lot more interested in buying more shares of NIO, because if that's the case, guys, then $20 billion is very cheap for this company. However, if they're just going to continue doing what they're doing, slowly improving their technology, incremental improvements, releasing new cars, all that kind of stuff, then $20 billion, I think that's pretty fair for where it's at right now. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm excited. I hope you guys are. Let me know in the comment section down below what you're expecting from this announcement. But either way, guys, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.